I'm talking to Bryce Covert, reporter for The Nation magazine and Think Progress. You can find her at brycecovert.com and on Twitter at Bryce Covert. I actually want to move on to another report that you did recently about infrastructure and the fact that there was a report that came out that, you know, a lot of people, we travel on our roads, we travel on bridges, we travel on a lot, you know, we be it on a car or public transportation. But there was a report that came out this isn't something we should be surprised about, because this is something that's been kind of well documented, and the lack of infrastructure spending has been pretty well documented. But it's the report is that more than 63,000 bridges that are crossed 250 million times a day need significant repairs, and that's unbelievably frightening. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I should point out that these bridges, they've been marked as structurally deficient, and that doesn't mean that they're all, you know, on the verge of collapse. But what it does mean is that it needs repair, and it's been given a low rating for all of the country's bridges. And you know, like you said, they are heavily used. A lot of them are near interstate highways, for example. We've seen a good number of bridge collapses recently. There were a couple of them last year that were pretty serious. And that's just one sort of piece of our infrastructure that we know is falling apart. Generally speaking, our infrastructure is in a really sorry shape. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives us a B+ grade, which is not great. And that's for bridges as well as roads, waterways, electrical grids, you know, other infrastructure. Roads, for example, we know they're falling apart. This winter was really rough and created a lot of potholes, and a lot of places don't have the money to really fix those potholes, which only get worse. So we know that there's this huge need to fix infrastructure. That place that gave us a low grade said that we need to spend $3.6 trillion by 2020. Unfortunately, we are going in the opposite direction right now. Government spending has fallen by about $60 billion on infrastructure. Spending on infrastructure and other sort of long-term investments has fallen below any level since World War II. And on top of all of this, some listeners may have heard that the Highway Trust Fund is about to run dry. By this summer, there will be no money in the Highway Trust Fund, which is the money the federal government doles out to states to upgrade their roads. And it's a little unclear whether there's going to be the political will to refill it. But without it, you know, we're going to move even further in that other direction.
It's like, what is wrong with us? I mean, this is just one of these things that it's just like the very just you know, I guess a lot of it is just sort of like infantile ideology of libertarianism, where it's just like oh yeah, we can just cut, you know, the free market will take care of our bridges, the free market will take care of our roads. It's our roads and bridges. So many people use these things to keep the American economy going and to keep us safe and alive and actually doing this stuff, and just the very simple thing of roads and bridges, we can't even get done right in this country anymore. It's like how far we've fallen, and just how stupid we are. It's mind-boggling to me.
Well, yeah, and remember that President Eisenhower was the president who oversaw the highway system being constructed, which you can only imagine the rewards that have been reaped economically from businesses that can transport things over these roads, let alone the rest of us. That's a good point you make, that the idea of the free market, or letting private businesses, you know, take the place for a lot of government functions, even if you buy into it, it has to have a limit, because that is not going to take care of public goods like infrastructure. Infrastructure is just such a clear public necessity. We need the government to be spending this money. It is the only one who can update all of this infrastructure, and it's not doing its job right now. What's frustrating as well is that there was a recent report that showed that if we did spend money, it looked at spending $1.3 billion in infrastructure next year, we would see huge economic rewards. It's not like it's money that you sort of spend and don't get any return. It would lead to $2 billion in economic growth. It would reduce the deficit by about $200 million. It would add at least 29,000 jobs, and that's all just in the immediate. The report also noted that these benefits compound over time as people keep using this infrastructure and, building economic growth. And I should note that this was not some lefty think tank. This was Standard & Poor's that came to all of these conclusions. So it's not just that this needs to be spent by the government, but that this kind of investment is a really, really smart one.
Well, and again, that's the whole deficit hysteria that, again, was embraced by, the sick thing is it's not just embraced by Republicans, it's embraced by Obama. I mean, Obama's done, all these cuts have come under Obama, which is crazy. It's just if we hadn't done all of this spending cuts, our economy would be in tons of better shape right now than it would be. How many jobs we've lost? How many? Not even just infrastructure on roads, but teachers that have been fired, city workers have been fired. All of these jobs that we've lost because of this ridiculous obsession with cutting spending.
Right, particularly cutting spending at a time of severe economic hardship. I think it just really compounded it. And you're right, we've lost teachers, we've lost public employees, and there have been battles fought over the utility of public employees because there's one side who sees them as, not helpful or overpaid. But put that aside, these are jobs that we're losing in an economy that needed more jobs. And we were only losing them because governments were slashing spending. So it's a pretty direct line between slashing spending and losing all of these jobs. And then you look at things like infrastructure where we could be creating jobs and investing in the long term, and we've pulled back on that. And we've done that in scientific research. We've done that in education. We're just not spending enough to be getting this economy not only back on its feet, but ready for the future.
Yeah, and then it's just the whole idea again about how many of these bridges are in ill repair. It's again, just the fact that people's lives are at stake here, and then again, not all of them are they're going to fall down tomorrow, but they're getting there. They're getting close, and there seems to be no will to actually repair them. And actually, I'm sure there is will by the people who are, doing these reports saying, "Oh my God, look at this bridge! This bridge is close to collapsing. We need to shore it up." But the fact that people's lives are at stake here. We've seen the giant highway collapse that happened a while, several years ago and stuff. What does it take for us to actually do people have to die in order for us to actually take this problem seriously?
I would hope that the answer is no, but it is disheartening that people have been injured. There was May last year, there was an Interstate 5 bridge that collapsed in Washington State. 2 cars were sent into the water and 3 people were injured. These things happen, and they're going to keep happening if our infrastructure is not updated. And like you say, it is real live, but I'm not sure. I would assume that probably those local communities and even the state see this as a problem. They know where their infrastructure vulnerabilities are. They're probably interested in investing in it. But, like I said, the Highway Trust Fund is going to run dry, and they're not going to be getting any of the funds they need to do the repairs. So you ask them, you ask these local communities, and they probably want this, but it's all stuck on the federal level. And I'm not sure what will make change to get those things moving.